Family Electric Ghost, and we're going to talk today about the Roland VT-4. So we just got the VT-4. You can see it here, and we're going to zoom in on it a little bit. But you know, it's a really interesting vocoder. We're using for a long time the VT3, and what's cool about this the VT4 is, like, you know, we're just bringing up the reverb a little bit, and you can get a little bit intense and bring it back down. And right now we're we're not doing a high pitch. We're doing like a normal voice, so it's like in the middle. If we bring it down, we can bring it down a little bit more into a crazy level. So if we do what we do with Josephine, so we'll bring it up the pitch a little bit, and you'll start to hear Josephine Electric. And now Josephine's here to a certain extent, but if we use the harmony, we can get her to be a little bit more intense. So let me play with this a little bit more, and let's see if we can get Josephine in here right.
1, 2, yeah. Well, you know, Josephine Electric, I'm the lead singer of the band, and I really like to get things down pretty hard. And you know, that's my style, and that's my thing. You see, when you use the sensitivity, she comes out a little stronger. She comes out a little better. Now we play with the harmony, and we hold the harmony button down, and we go through a variation. Variation 1 is what I sound like. Variation 2, I get a little hyped. You feel like maybe Stephanie's talking with me. And then we go to variation 3, and you feel the deep boom in my bass, and you know you want that in your face. I told you to get that roach out of my face. And then we go to number 4, it's a little destructive, a little distorted. And maybe you like that because you're a little perverted, but so we go back
The bypass, and you know, we get back to my main voice. But what's cool about the VTO3 is it's more compact, but then one of the problems with it is on the previous version of this, you know, take the auto pitch down, the dial was used to go to a lot of different settings that were very easy to get to. Some of these things have been put into, like the robot and the megaphone are now buttons, but they used to be on this pitch dial. And it was convenient to be able to go through them because some of the capabilities now are kind of buried in variations that you have to memorize through the buttons here. And you see there's 4 buttons here. If we dive down on it a little bit more. But the problem is, you know, you don't know what those are per, you know, the megaphone settings, 4 variations, and I think there's actually up to 8 different things you can do by doing the hold buttons on certain things. And you can control a noise filter that you can hold down a combination of the buttons with a noise filter, which I now have forgotten what that is. I don't have my manual, but I believe if you just hold the button and you hit the manual, and you have different variations for noise control and your feedback control, and you can kind of hear differences when you press the button. But if you go to bypass, you can also, you know, feel the harmony in different types of harmony. I'm actually going through different settings in the memory. Even though there's only 4 positions, you can actually have 8 memory positions. So that's kind of cool. And go back to, set it back to normal. Now the megaphone, if we go through the settings, we just hit the megaphone, hold it, is 1, then 2 is a little bit different, 3 is a little bit different, 4, you can hear a little slight variation. Then we go to robot, take the megaphone off, do robot 1, 1, 2, robot 2, 3, 4, robot 3. But I think what you do is if you use the auto pitch, you can get that to be a little bit more extreme. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll try a robot again. 1, 1. Really, the robot seems to work better when you use the vocoder. I put the vocoder on with the robot, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold the button and put it on variation 3, 1, 2. But I also, well, maybe because I got the bypass on. Put the manual back on, 1, 2, and then let's get a setting on the robot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then another variation there, but it's not that extreme. Put the sensitivity up a little bit, and put the format and the pitch up, and then bring
Josephine back in, and then if
Yo, my robot is here now. Yeah, I got it. But the microphone really kicked it off a little bit more. Just hold the robot, and then 2 is over there. Radio Galactic, we're all fantastic. Stop. That's pretty cool. I like the harmony, which was never there before. The harmony is very interesting in the auto pitch control. Now there is a dial. It's kind of useful. If you go all the way, it tightens up the neck. If you go all the way, it tightens up the neck. Like when Josephine's wearing that backless dress, she's gonna bet you majorly confess.
yeah, yeah. Well, I really like to feel that mother load. I really like to feel that mother load. Oh yeah, I really like to feel that mother load. Now roar, hey, down round, and feel what I feel in my heart is not real.
There's a lot of really cool things, and you get this effect here on the megaphone. Get another variation on the megaphone, another variation on the megaphone, and
I feel mega feel, I feel very, very raw in my mind. In my body, I know I feel very cool. So get the reverb going, or get the reverb going, yeah.
you can get the reverb going. As you can with 1, 2. So,
Let the fire. Get off the microphone, goddammit. Get off that microphone. Get back to the harmony. Get back to the harmony inside your mind. 1, 2. Get back to the harmony. 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 Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's try a different harmony. Oh yeah, let's try.
I like wait. Yeah, well, Stephanie's back a little bit. Like after the robot. Okay. I like you as much as I can.
Like you. That's a pretty heavy.
Yeah, we get off that. We got that. Standing a little too tight.
1, 2, 1, 1. 4 months.
4 months. Okay. Let's get crazy. I wanted to get into the key command, which is pretty cool. It works with the auto pitch. I mean, you can either use it or not. But what's interesting is now you can set a key, and we're using the vocoder and things that can actually change where you're going to be. So here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Ooh. So that's kind of cool. And we find when we go, when we go, when we go, we find we go, and very slow. That's kind of useful. It wasn't there in the VTO3. But as I said, there's some features that are buried in multiple commands, or I mean, you have to hold keys down, and in that way, it's. I probably would still use my VTO3 for some performances because when you have to remember the combinations, and sometimes you don't get good feedback that you actually are on the right setting, which you've seen in my presentation. Because I'm trying to bring Stephanie back or Josephine back, and I've got the manual setting, and then you jump to something in the memory, which I guess is just needing to know how to use it. But yeah, it's here that way. So we could kind of reset it back. Maybe get off all of this stuff and go back and hit the bypass to kind of reset. Take the megaphone off. Try to get Josephine back. And Josephine is my main woman. Yeah. Josephine is my main woman. She is everything that we know that life can be. We know she could be everything. Sometimes it's hard to get back to where you want to be. But yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. They still hear your me, the phantom, and I'm at a high pitch. So on the other video, Josephine will be coming in a lot more clear. So I find issues with that sometimes. And you can't keep on putting up the mic sensitivity. So let me clear. I shut it off, and let me see if I can get back to where I want to be. So we're trying to get back, hit the manual. We're trying to get her, Josephine, to come back. And we see that Josephine's voice is not all the way back, and we got the pitch up. We bring the format up, and it does bring her voice, but it's a little too much format. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's not what I want. So we're trying to get back her voice in a way that we used to on the VTO3. And there it is pretty much. There's her voice. And it wasn't as easy to get to as I expected, because on a VTO3 I could put it on a setting with the dial, and it would just stay there. And you use the sensitivity to kind of bring it up more, and you get closer or further away from the mic. And this is a pretty good Josephine here. We tweak it with the reverb, we tweak it with the format. It brings up too high with the format, and we bring it down a little bit, give it a little more bass. And then she has a kind of voluptuous feel to her. But, you put the reverb real high, and you bring it down, make it like nothing. Now you take the robot off, and you get Josephine's kind of, main speaking voice, which we used for a while. And you can feel the reverb, give it a little bit more, bring up the format a little bit. And then, this is like the hot spot
So I think we try to save this and put
Yeah. See, now it didn't put, we're trying to save it and it just went to another patch.
So maybe that's just not us understanding how to save it. We try to hold.
Yeah. Still didn't do it right. But this is why you should read the manual.
But yeah. So that is a little bit of a frustration because it's not working exactly as the way I anticipated. But in terms of portability, because it has batteries, if you flip it over, there's a battery compartment, and you can get to the batteries right here. And, oh no, oh no. We get that back in. We gotta get it nice and tight. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay. Oh yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Now, I like this version of her voice, where they put a harmony in it, and then you've got a pretty cool Josephine. Now we could control the auto pitch, and she starts to get a little bit more defined, and then we bring the reverb down a little bit, and then you've got a pretty good voice here. Now this is the voice I like to use on Anchor FM when I'm doing podcast there, and this is a pretty good voice. You put a little too much reverb, it's a little too much. Kind of bring it down a little bit. Maybe have your glasses not hit the screen on the mic. Okay, so you can use the volume or bring it up a little bit more, and then you feel like, okay, well, that kind of really defines it. And then the mic sensitivity can get real up front, so we have a little feedback on there. Now, there's a way to do a noise filter on this thing. It's a combination of holding the manual button and then the variations, and you get control over feedback. I haven't really seen a lot of effect with it, but I'm still learning how to do the combinations on it. That's why I say it is a little frustrating, is the combinations on this thing can be a little bit concerning. But I do like the key. See, we're playing with it now and bring it down to G, lower G. And you bring it down to F, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that. You jump in
The bypass and, jump right into my normal voice. And you can
jump right back, and you jump back in,
and jump back.
and jump back in. But we do like the build quality, and it's still got the kind of Star Wars green lighting of all the ARIA stuff. But it is very compact and does work good with a PC. If you're on the road, we imagine part of our road gear idea for this year was to actually use smaller gear, and this is part of that. And the OPZ for Teenage Engineering, the Roland X Edge, and then the Eurorack. So we use a Eurorack 6U with this VT-4. Once we learn how to save the settings, once we get this voice and we learn how to actually save it into one of the memory positions under 8, even though they only see 4 here, that would be very useful on the road. And you don't have to have a plug to plug this in, though if you have a PC, it will run off a PC using a wire like this. So if you use one of these USB wires that you usually plug like a printer or something in, it goes into the VT4, and then you can plug it into your PC and have a powered USB run it, and that's pretty cool, but the batteries are on it, so then you don't have to have another line when you're out there. So I think this with an OPZ, we're going to try doing some things with this when we get our OPZ, which is kind of late. But yeah, we really like... I think the biggest thing on this thing that's very different is the harmony. And we'll kind of
Go back into the harmony.
back into the harmony. Hold the harmony button is what they say on an effect. Hit number 1, that's 1 level. That's variation 1, variation 2, variation 3, variation 4. Now, you're supposed to be able to do something else, like this. If you hit the manual and then hit another variation, another one, another one, another one. So, it's pretty cool what you can do with it. And then you see this harmony command can be very useful. It kind of doubles your voice. And with the idea for Electric Ghost is Stephanie Spot is my sister, and you can say we're both singing at the same time. And then if you throw the vocoder in, we're both singing at the same time. We're both singing when we want to. We want that sound. We want that expensive sound. And it will be there whether you're bound, whether you're gagged or bound. Well, Josephine always has to go there, because I'm a dominatrix, right? So let's go there. Whether you're gagged or bound, I'm always down to getting down. So, get a little Kanye West going there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. So, that's kind of cool. What you can do there, you can hold it to a key, and that's very useful. When you put the megaphone on, it gives a little more power. Now I tried a robot with a rose. Now you can have a combination of the robot, megaphone, and vocoder. So when we get down, it gets a little too impressive. Take a robot off and get better. But a robot kind of gets a little too distorted. So you can't really use that so much. But you can use the mic sensitivity to kind of bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Bring a little feedback. That's where the noise filter can come in. The noise filter has variations. There's 2 levels of it. And we're going to try with that sometime. They will do a deeper dive on the functions once we get a hold of it, because we don't have our manual because we left it in the bathroom. We don't have our manual because we left it in the bathroom. Damn. So that was probably a mistake. But yeah, we really like this machine. It's sitting on top of a Yamaha MG10XU, which is part of Studio B. This is Studio B. And Studio B is still in progress, but we've got an old school Casio in here. We've got our Yamaha, we've got our laptops, and our tripods and our video recording equipment. So we get off the harmony, and we turn off the auto pitch. And this is like no auto pitch. This is full auto pitch. And even without the vocoder, you can kind of feel the auto tune. Whether you get consumed by Stephanie or June. And June hasn't come out yet, but she will soon. Okay, yeah, so this is no reverb. This is like max reverb. No auto pitch. Full auto pitch with full reverb, no reverb. So we get the balance all the way, and you feel Josephine all the way. You want to feel me all the way down, 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 down in the ground with the people to feel that pensive loud old format. All the way down, format going up, 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 Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, maybe that's June. June's just a little too consumed with doom.
So you can have a lot of fun with this. You really can have a lot of fun. You can
Really have a lot of fun. So, I think the VT-4, because of its portability, is really cool. The harmony capability and the more clear indications of variations, which are being included on this compared to the other VTO3, which I wasn't aware of variations. If they were there, maybe I didn't know they were there. So this really, the hallmark of this machine is it has multiple variations, has 8 memory slots, it's battery powered, has MIDI in it. Well, if you need to see, the previous version of this did not have a MIDI. It had USB MIDI over MIDI, but not a separate MIDI. So that's another cool thing you can do. You can hook it up to a keyboard, and we'll hook it up to our Casio or one of our Rolands and do that later. But I would say the portability is awesome. The fact is battery powered is awesome. The fact that you can run on USB power is cool. And it's a stronger type of USB connection because it's not just a typical one. It's more of the Ethernet type of USB. Well, not Ethernet, but it's like the old school PC USB connection, which you get on like Junos and things like that. But what's really cool, I think, is the fact that it's got the build quality feels a little better than the VTO 3. So the VTO 3 is bigger, and the dial implementation of all the effects on the rotary dial was a good idea. I'm sorry they left that behind. It would have been cool to have 2 dials. And what's new also is the auto pitch as a dial was not really there before. And they've made that the main focus of the machine. Is the primary focus is this dial, where on the previous one, this area was where the effects were chosen. And now the effects are kind of scattered as buttons. Well, because now you have a robot, megaphone, vocoder, harmony. But you're missing some of the other effects that you had easily discernible. But when you look in the manual, it looks like you do have a lot of the effects that were on the VT-03, but they're buried inside of like the megaphone or the robot or the vocoder or the harmony as variations. And so since they're buried, you have to know what they are. And so you've got to have a cheat sheet to figure out which ones they are. And the other version, you could easily see where they were. I guess if people are going to just focus on robot, megaphone, vocoder, harmony, it's easy to understand. But that is a little bit of sometimes you make something smaller. If they had made it this size and a little wider to give you a dial for the effect selection, but maybe the people complained about it, because I did notice sometimes on the VTO3, maybe the reason they got rid of the dial is that if you're on an effect like a megaphone or something like that, if it's on the dial and you accidentally hit it, then you kind of fuck up your show. Since it's not a button, it's like harder to not to unselect it. So I think they made a decision to go with the buttons to make it, stronger for performance. And I can understand that. It's just a matter of, making sure you understand where all your choices are. And when you're actually playing a show, it would be cool if I got a MIDI controller and actually, some kind of MIDI controller, and I assigned it like on a specific controller that had a lot of buttons. Kind of like an Akai system, and you assigned a button to every potential effect, and you kind of taped it like what they are, and you could kind of hit what they are. I think would be a good way to get around the fact that you're missing some of these or that they're buried. But it's a matter of just studying up on your gear and knowing what to hit. But when you're doing performance, it is always good to have like a bunch of things already preset. So that would be a cool idea. Even Roland, and I guess there are enough companies that make things like that. That you don't need to do that. I could probably use my BeatStep Pro to assign things on dials. I could probably use some other things I have to assign things as well. I would like to see if I can use my OPZ to assign that kind of capability. That'd be kind of cool. If I could use it to do that. So get back to the bypass. I'm just playing with Josephine again. Yeah, so this is, I would think, a really cool machine. We're going to do more product reviews in the future. We just give everybody a kind of look around. We've got this, actually, oh, our battery compartment's not all the way in there. Make sure we got it in there right. Now it's secure. But you can see we've got our the mic in, using a mic to a studio electronics mic, and we've got our mono out line. You got 1/4 inches. On the front, you've got these. You got the phones. You got the mic in. You got a line out. You got a phantom power, which is really cool because we're using that right now. And so, that's the focus of what we did here. Now, if we just going to turn the mic, turn our camera, and we're going to repoint it to the mic we were using. So this is the Studio Electronics microphone that we've been using for this broadcast, and you can kind of see what it is and how it's set up. We are also, this is the primary mic we use for a lot of recording, and we've got that connected right to the VT-4. We've used it for the VT-3. So we go back down to where we were, and we got to focus on back on the VT-4. But, what's really cool is that we can use that existing capability that we already had. So, it's using the same wire we're using the VTO4, which is cool. And the Studio Electronics mic is a really good mic, and you can hear it when I'm really close to it. I can bring up the sensitivity so I can be further away, which I probably should have done. So now what's cool is, like, with the sensitivity control, I can be further away from the mic and actually have it pick up, and then you get a little white noise. So that sometimes you have to have the balance of bringing it down, and you get less white noise. See, I'm closer to the mic, less white noise. You bring it up, you get distortion, white noise. Some of that can be solved by running it through a mixer. We're not running it through a mixer right now. We're on top of the mixer without running it through the mixer. And we're only using mono instead of stereo. And we're just picking up some background. And this is where the noise filter comes in. And if I remember, I thought it said for the noise filter, you're supposed to hold the manual button and then hit.
That's not working right. So, what?
Back to bypass. 1, 2, yeah, I don't know. I was supposed to be holding the manual button and then hitting.
Something, but yeah, it's not right.
So we got to look into that. But there is a way to control that. We've noticed that the mic sensitivity does bring a light white noise in when you have it up. Bring it down, but then sometimes you can't hear it if you bring it down too much. You bring the volume down, some of it goes away. That's where, some of the white noise coming through this thing is a little disconcerting. And I've had to play with it. And when I'm on my other rig, I'm using, it's probably the quality of this wire too. It's probably not one of my better wires, this wire here. But what I'm going to do is also to let you guys, I'm actually using the Go mixer to do this. And sometimes you can control it, there it goes with the volume going up. And the mic setting kind of bring it down a little bit, 1, 2. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Here's the mic setting. Now, I on the Go mixer, I can get a little bit of the white noise went away with the mic setting on the little control dial. So that brought some of it out. And then I can look at, there's another setting where the center channel on or off. That's not really doing anything. Then you have the main control over the overall sound, and that's controlling it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to fix it. It's passable for like a podcast. When I'm recording into my Zoom, I get a lot less white noise. I don't know, it's just that maybe the Go mixer. I'm looking at getting another one, and then maybe they increase the quality. So this is the end of this session, and we'll talk to you later. Bye. We're trying to go. Disconnect. Bye.